Hey, everybody. Welcome to our first live stream to share with you our brand new podcast, True Crime Paranormal, with the Psychic Sisters. Woo!
Yay!
If you have listened to us forever, you know we were on the air for 9 years and on radio, and we are so excited to be back with a very different kind of show. But Katie and I, we couldn't stay off the air. We love being on the air together, and we were
That's
so
right.
excited. So, our first actual live podcast, not live, recorded, we won't be live, we'll be recorded, will be available on March 2nd on all of your favorite podcast platforms. But in the meantime, we wanted to give you a little taste of what we're going to do and talk about it a little bit and get you excited because we're excited. So, Katie, do you want to share just a minute? Our very first show is about the Dyatlov Pass Incident. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the true crime element of this story, and then we're also going to talk about the paranormal element of this story. So that's kind of how we're going to do it. Is it's going to be a combination of a true crime podcast and a paranormal podcast. We're going to give kind of both sides of things. So, Katie,
Yeah.
do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about this incident?
Yeah. So this was the Dyatlov Pass incident. It happened in Russia in the 1950s. And this was an incident where we had a group of mountain climbers that were trying to summit a mountain and in the dead of winter in January. And they never came down. And so a time after, a couple of weeks after they should have come back down from the mountain, their friends and families got together. They sent out a search party rescue, and what they found was a really disturbing scene of all of them. They eventually did find all of their bodies. Of course, they were deceased, and it looked as if something like epic had happened to them. An enormous attack of some sort. They had run out of their tent in the middle of the night without even with shoes on in sub-zero weather, and it's been totally unexplained. There's a lot of theories. There's been a lot of looks into it. The Russian government has sealed this case and unsealed it a couple of times, one time quite recently, but there's really no answers as to what happened or why.
Yeah, and there are so many weird, don't add up, don't make any sense elements to it that
Yeah.
it's one of those cases where I kind of think we might not ever know the truth.
Yeah.
Which I
Yeah.
hate that because as a true crime junkie, I freaking want to know what
Right.
happened. It drives me
Right.
nuts to not know. But we're going to talk all about it. We're going to tell you all about it. We're going to tell you all the theories. And then, so how we're going to do our podcast, we wanted to do a combination true crime and paranormal podcast. So the first part of the podcast will be the story. We're going to tell it true crime style. And then we will get to the second part of the show, which will be the psychic analysis. And so, if you know us, that we have worked as professional psychics for a long, long time. We do, we've done lots of space clearings and, we've done a lot of paranormal work. And so we're going to be able to give it, we're also both real crime junkies. If you knew us, we are constantly sharing stories back and forth on Facebook, and just true crime news stories and all kinds of things with each other all the time and
Right.
trying to figure out what really happened.
I mean,
We're
we were raised in the era of Law and Order every day after
oh
school,
right, come on, Dateline, you know it.
Yeah.
We know it. We're
Yeah.
way into all that stuff. So we decided to combine these two things. So Katie, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about why is it that you want to do a true crime paranormal podcast?
Ooh, well, a lot of reasons, I guess, but I I will honestly say I see myself in some ways as a bit of a journalist. I do.
Mhm.
I write, I publish a weekly magazine. I have been writing for years and years and years. I was thinking the other day about that I was the editor of the school newspaper when I was in fifth grade.
Yeah, right?
I was on the yearbook staff when I was in high school. I've been in to some degree or another a journalist at heart forever. And it's true that sometimes when a case really catches my eye, I will fall way down the rabbit hole of it, study it for months, look at every different angle I possibly can, and the psychic angle, because obviously because of my gifts and what I do. And so I think that it gives me and you both a unique perspective into both sides of these stories. But I think also because of the psychic work that we both do, we know that there's more facets to so many of these stories than
Yes.
ever actually, reach the media, because
Yeah.
they're things that are hard to explain. And what we know is that the powers that be are comfortable with us not being presented with things that would shake up our basic understanding of our world.
Yeah.
And so we don't
Totally.
always get all of the facts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I think that's probably why, for the most part, and just because, like you, I just love this stuff. And,
Yeah.
the more we research into stories we want to cover, the more fascinated we have become, the more our minds have been blown. The one thing I think we always know for sure is that we don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
So,
that's so true that in so many of these situations, there's
yeah,
stuff we don't know, there's stuff maybe we'll never know, but it's so fun to try to figure it out.
yeah,
For me, I've always been fascinated by human behavior. I'm fascinated by
yeah.
people, by what people do, why they do it, how they think, how they tick. And I'm a social worker, and so I've always been very interested in mental health and understanding that aspect of it. So I am a crime junkie. I That's my favorite kind of TV. I particularly love crime TV from other countries outside the U.S. Because it's so much more real. The stuff in the U.S. is very faked, on
Hmm.
TV, but the British crime TV and Australian crime TV really fun. But I've always found it
Hmm.
very interesting simply because I want to understand. I want to
Yeah,
understand people. I want to be helpful. I want to help solve problems. And
yeah.
then as a psychic, I've always had strong intuition and strong hits about various things that are happening in the world that maybe don't align with what the public story is. And
Hmm.
after our years and years of space clearing and working on paranormal situations in people's homes and buildings and related to people in general, I feel like we have a lot to give and a
Hmm.
slightly different perspective because of it. And so I'm so excited to be sharing this with you. This is going to be so
Hmm.
much fun. I am like,
Yeah.
let's record like 15 episodes today, because I'm so excited.
It's so fun. The research is so fun
Oh my
too.
gosh.
The research, I love the research. Like, I can't believe how much I am enjoying the research and how many hours I can give to something
Yes.
just because it's so fascinating. And
Yeah.
then to be able to put myself there and witness it through my own, spidey eyes, my own psychic eyes, to really get a better sense of what really happened and why and what was actually going on in the heads of all of the players involved. Those things
Yeah.
it just creates so many more facets to already really fascinating stories.
Oh, it is. Well, and one of the things I love is that when you go to multiple sources of information, you find out all kinds of stuff that one article will say some things and then another article will say another, and one eyewitness says something that another article didn't share. You get all of these different facets and you start to put it together, all the puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
And that I've been really enjoying that about the Dyatlov Pass incident is so interesting because there's a lot of conflicting information and
Yeah.
just a lot of information where details are left out in various places.
Hmm.
Depending, one of the best articles I found so far was by a reporter for the BBC,
Uh-huh.
and who recreated the trip, who actually physically went out there and went through the whole thing. And that was really, really interesting. So I'm looking forward to it so much. I
Uh-huh.
cannot wait for us to be sharing it all with you.
Absolutely. Well, and in the
Yeah.
psychic analysis, we will go back through the facts and decide what feels true
Yeah.
and what doesn't feel true.
Yeah.
Because, yes, especially like in this one, because there was the involvement of the Russian government seems to be pretty sketchy, and
Hmm.
then disingenuous. And so that's a part of the psychic analysis I really love, is being able to go, okay, here are the facts that were presented. What feels true and what
Yeah.
does not, you
Yeah.
know?
Exactly. Because there's some stuff that doesn't. And one thing I know about everybody listening to this is that you've all had this experience where you
Yeah.
hear about something and you go, that does not ring true to me at all. That's a lie.
Yeah.
You can feel it, you know it. So we're
Yeah.
going to, analyze all of that. And then we're also going to talk about various elements of paranormal experiences and what we have determined those things to be and why they happen. And, all
Mhm.
those years of, clearing people's houses and working on this stuff, we've learned a lot of things. And
Yeah.
so it's going to be fun to plug that element in as well. And so we thought it would be really fun. And we think we might be the first or close to the first that has actually combined true crime and paranormal together. I haven't found a whole lot out there. There's lots of
Yeah.
true crime and there's lots of paranormal, but there's not a lot of combination of the two. So
Yeah.
we're pretty excited to be sharing that with all of you. So you can find our very first episode, which will be called The Dyatlov Pass Incident: What Really Happened, on all your favorite podcasting platforms. If you are watching this broadcast right now on our Facebook page, we will be posting a link there.
Yeah.
And, hit us up on social media. You can find us on Twitter. We are True Crime TPS on Twitter. And on Facebook and on Instagram, we are True Crime Paranormal TPS. So
Yeah.
TPS means the Psychic Sisters. Our name's kind of
Yeah.
long, so I did some abbreviating.
It's true. And if you find a crime that you think is
Yes.
something that we would want to see or that you would love for us to analyze, please send it over. There's
Yeah.
a lot of information out there. We might not find it. So if you see something that you think we would love to see, make sure we do.
Absolutely. We want to be hearing from all of our listeners about what you want to hear. We want to cover those cases. And it's so true that there's so many out there,
Yeah.
that there's no way we're going to find them all on our own. You guys are going to help
No.
us 100%. So that's going to be
Oh,
so
yeah.
great.
Well, I am beyond excited. It's a very fun step for both of us to
It
do
is.
something so totally different than what we've done in the past and so the same.
Yeah. I
So
know.
this is good. I
We're
don't think
just
we've ever
broadening
done a
our
show.
horizons.
Right. Well, I don't think we've ever done a show that wasn't really at its core a readings show.
Right. And we're not going to
And
be
this
doing any
is,
of
I
that.
guess, but not, yeah,
Yeah, we're
reading.
going to be reading the situation and the people in the situation, but not,
Yeah.
our listeners. But yeah,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so excited. We're just ready.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. All right. Well, don't forget, you can find our very first podcast for True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters on March 2nd on all your favorite podcasting platforms. And you can find it here on Facebook at True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters as well.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Talk to you soon.